Welcome to 5 After Midnight, True Stories of the Paranormal. One.
My grandmother was seriously ill, and the hospital sent her home and made her comfortable. We all knew that she would die at any time. We took turns staying at her house with her, usually 2 at a time. One evening, my folks were staying over with her. At around 3:30 a.m., our home phone rang. My sister was up before me, but it stopped ringing before she got to it. She dialed 1471, which is the UK equivalent of *69, and it was my grandmother's number. She called back and my mom answered. "How did you know to call?" asked my mom. My grandmother had just died at that very moment. My sister told her we just had a call from the house. Apart from my folks and the nurse, no one was at my grandmother's house with them. My mom said that no one had left the room, and certainly no one had used the telephone.
Two.
When my parents were both young, in their early 20s, and recently married, they were hanging out in the basement of one of my cousin's old houses. This cousin was very nice, but she liked to dabble with the paranormal and just freaky shit in general. Anyways, there they are sitting downstairs, when my cousin informs them that she is going to get something to drink. My mother and father were sitting alone on a couch in this creepy-ass basement, when all of a sudden this old rotary phone next to them began to ring. A ringing phone? Big deal, right? Except that it wasn't plugged in. Not a single cord connected to that phone. No power cord, no phone cord, nothing. My dad even picked it up to check. They both eyed each other and decided not to answer it. When my cousin came back downstairs and they told her what just happened, she became pale as a ghost and suggested that they leave the basement. They thought she had played a joke on them by somehow ringing it wirelessly. But this was in the late 1980s, and this phone was really old. Come to find out, it had belonged to my great-great-grandmother, and she had it in the basement for decoration. Needless to say, my parents never went back down there. I always wondered what would have been on the other end had they answered the call.
Three.
I was in a meeting with a co-worker last year when his cell phone, which had been on silent, started ringing at full volume. He fumbled it out of his pocket and laid it on the table, and all 3 of us in the room looked down at it, and the number it showed calling was his own. Weird, right? We all just stare at it until it stops ringing. We discussed how bizarre it was until a voicemail pops up on the screen. Now we're all super curious. So he opens his voicemail folder, and it has a message from his own phone number, and the best part? The date is from January the 1st, 2044. Now we're all pretty scared as he hits play and puts it on speaker. Weirdest, most glitchy sounding white noise I've ever heard, with what sounds like heavy breathing and a very faint voice trying to talk through it all. We called a couple co-workers in to listen to it. Everybody freaked out. We went on with our day, and he went on to show another co-worker a couple of hours later, but it had vanished off of his phone. My co-worker is still convinced to this day that he now knows the day that he is going to die. I was a total idealist back in high school, So when choosing a college, I chose to go somewhere that none of my friends were attending, so I could strike out on my own in a finding myself sort of way. Well, I ended up making a few really close friends my first semester. I mean, these guys became like family to me in a matter of months. One day during winter break, one of those guys, my buddy Jimmy, had gone back home to visit friends and family, and on his return trip to our college, he hit a bad patch of ice and got into a car accident and was killed. It hurt so much for a long time, and I still think about him all the time. But anyways, a few weeks after Jimmy's accident, me and the rest of the guys were getting back from a party off campus. As we were standing outside our dorm building smoking a cigarette, I felt my phone vibrating, and when I pulled it out, I saw that I was getting a call from Jimmy's phone. Dumbfounded, I showed my friends the phone quickly and then answered. When I picked it up, it went directly to his voicemail, which played the same message it always had. It never happened again, and we never really talked about it. But for me, it was one of those someone's looking after me moments. I hadn't really been doing very well after his death, but seeing his name show up on my cell phone screen one final time made me feel a whole lot better for a time and really helped me get going out of the slump I was in. I have no idea how his cell phone could have possibly called me, and I doubt that I ever will know. But I am very thankful that it happened. Rest in peace, Jim, but feel free to call again. In 2003, my best friend had gone missing and ended up being murdered. It was a huge news story, and it tore me up inside. Back when it had occurred, there were some issues going on in his personal life. I was living a couple of hours away. Anyway, my birthday was in the summer, on a Sunday. I was hanging at my friend's house the Saturday before my birthday, from which I distinctly remember having a bad signal on my cell phone, always. I was hanging out at the time and we were in front of my friend's house. I called my other friend, the one who was killed, that morning, asking him what he was doing and that my birthday was the next day, and that night we had planned to go to a rap concert. He said he wanted to come down, but he was having some trouble and he wasn't alone. He mentioned he was with his roommate, and I told him that they could both come down. Without giving too much detail, he mentioned he was in fear of his life, and I told him to come and lay low at my house, and Monday we would drive back and go to the police. My friend whose house I was at had also chimed in, remembering me having the conversation in full. My friend on the other end of the phone line said he would drive down and stay over. He never showed up. I called him on my birthday, infuriated that he never showed up. He never answered the phone. I didn't think much of it at the time, but something didn't seem right. I got a call Monday morning from his long-distance girlfriend, saying she hadn't spoken to him since Tuesday, and I told her to calm down, that I had spoken to him. Well, I got a call from his parents as well, begging me to go check his dorm, where his roommate was also living, because they both stayed at the local university. I drove down with the friend whose house I was staying at, and we got let into his place. He had 2 baby pit bulls who looked starved when we walked in. There was dog shit everywhere. We checked the apartment, and it was a mess. I went into his bedroom, and there was a suitcase on his bed, half packed with folded clothes in the bag, and on the bed very neatly. This was how my friend was with his clothing. It was a 2 or 3 night bag. Something was wrong. Fast forward, he was missing for a month, and then his body was found, and I won't go into detail about that portion. I will say this, however. The FBI ended up telling me he was dead 2 or 3 days before the day I spoke with him. Furthermore, there was no cell phone record of the call, or so I was told. To this day, I know I spoke to my friend who died. My other friend, who I'm still friends with, can vouch for this. Apparently, they say it isn't so, but this is definitely something that will sit with me for the rest of my life, in addition to the event itself. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the show. If you have a story to share, send us an email, like us on Facebook, share, like, and subscribe.